Hi everyone, this is Final Voice TV. Have you thought of creating jobs in Africa? Have you thought of putting incomes into people's pockets in Africa? How do we create these jobs? Research has shown that 42% of the world's youth population will be found in Africa in the next 10 years. Are these people going to live without incomes? How do we sustain incomes in Africa? Today on this show, we look at creating Afro-Entrepreneurial value in Africa. It's about jobs for the youth. It's about the jobs that we need to give to people to provide incomes for them. When the youth have the income, they can also create jobs. They can invest in capital assets. Let's create the jobs. I'm going for a break. When I return, we look into the issues of creating value. Final Voice TV. I'll be right back. So, this is Final Voice TV. Creating Afro-Entrepreneurial value in Africa, in Ghana, in Nigeria, in Kenya, in Uganda, Somalia, Algeria, Egypt. How do we do this? How do we get jobs for the youth? Welcome to the studios, Mr. Joshua. It's about Africa, our own continent, and it's about how we lift the youth up. How do we help the youth to create jobs? Or how do we connect with the youth back home when it comes to job creation? So welcome to the studios once again, Mr. Joshua. You may have to introduce yourself, and viewers would like to know much about you.
Thank you so much, Charles.
You're welcome.
Today we are going to talk about something very important, pertinent to us from the African soil. So my name is Joshua Obara, and Obara is a very beautiful name, very close to Obama, as most of you may know. I come from Uganda, and I study sustainable resource management. My background is forestry. I studied forestry at Makerere University,
Sure.
one of the best universities in Africa.
Yeah.
And right now I study from Technical University of Munich.
Munich, in Germany.
Yes, the best university in
Of course, of course.
So today I will tell you more as we go forward.
Sure, sure. So it's about creating jobs in Africa. It's about putting monies in people's pocket. The incomes. When income levels rise or go high, then we can be sure of dealing with poverty and hunger in Africa. That people will have money to buy food, buy clothing, get shelter and security. How do we do this in Africa?
This is a very good question, because most of us, we at least have been to this situation. A small percentage in Africa is living that better world, or someone may call heaven.
Yeah.
The elites are really very few.
Yeah.
And most of us are struggling. And today's podcast is about my personal experience, where I have been, where I've come through, and what I'm doing. So what I'm going to talk about will either inspire you to start a life.
Yeah.
So we need people who are agents of change, people who will create, and you can be part of it. So Charles, you've asked me a question. How do you start? So how you start is just around you. One, identify a problem. You need to know the problem to be part of the solution and understand the problem. In my situation, back home, I didn't grow up in a good house. I come from a very humble family. How did I come to be part of the solution? I looked at where we stayed. We were living in a very humble house, and a humble one that even the poor would call us poor. So I thought about this problem. I told about my friends. How about starting up a small business that can help the poor also sleep in a safe way? Safe, we mean something sustainable, affordable, and something that is safe for you and your family. So you have to think about the idea. Second, don't keep the idea to yourself, Charles. Africa, we have this problem. We want to keep this good idea to ourselves. When you think about the solution, tell about a friend that there is this problem. I think if we do something like this, we can improve. And this is how I started.
So you share with viewers your experience.
Yes.
And that is so organic. I mean, you can tap into it. Like, it's not like you're reading the book and telling us what you read in the book, but this is your own personal experience.
Yes. So I met a few of my old friends who probably shared the same problem. And we talked. How do we help? We don't have money. Because the biggest problem to people who want to start a business is capital. But to be a business person, capital is one of the last things you should think about. You must have an idea that solves the problem. So we talked and we came up with an idea that how about we use very simple resources. One, they are renewable. Resources like bamboo. Charles, allow me to tell you and the viewers that bamboo is one of the fastest growing plants on earth. It grows at least 4 years. You will have your bamboo ready for harvesting. So we thought of bamboo. But not only bamboo. There is wood. There are slabs. When they go cut these trees in Africa, they leave slabs. So we don't want to go to cut new trees to start a house. There is mud. You can improve mud by adding a little cement to it. But after adding cement, what do you do with it? So when we think of a solution, we came up, I built my first bamboo house for my grandmother. She didn't like it. It was very bad. This means that if the first prototype doesn't come out, change, improve.
And that is a good business idea.
Yes.
If the first prototype doesn't work, you focus on the next one.
Yes. So we had different names. And right now, my story is different. I can tell you about the idea we started 2 years ago. It's called African Sustainable Homes. And our idea is really sustainable. We built a sustainable business model that focuses on affordability, safety, and how can someone commit himself to saving nature. So that is the most important. We are living in a climate or in an environment where nature has been altered severally. So your idea must be sustainable, but also affordable. Charles, I like the statistics you started with, that in Africa, 40%.
42% of the world's population will be seen in Africa very soon.
So it
In
means
the next 10 years.
that is very worrying statistic. So we need to make sure that the ideas that come forward are affordable to our potential clients. So the idea of how you start, you need to know the problem. The second point is don't start the business for only money. Start the business for the society. Because, Charles, the biggest problem why we shall be poor is because we do not have jobs. Because personally, Charles, you would ask me, if you are doing a master's in something that is not related to business, why am I doing business? Because I want to be part of the solution. I want to provide jobs. And right now, the story I told you, which is very beautiful, we recently won a grant. The grant with this idea, 10,000 euros, is really little money in anyone's sense to start a business. But this is good capital that most of our African fathers never give it to us to start a business. And how do you get this little money? After your idea is nice, catchy, and easier. I'm not saying cheap, but affordable to your clients. So the secret is in partnerships. When I came here in Germany, I got good friends. I'm very sure most of people, Charles, in Africa do not have this chance. But at least there is internet. Try to connect with people who you share the same mindset. People who have the same drive as you. People who want to create impact. I met with a few Germans. And we drafted proposals. So what does this mean? When you have the idea, doesn't mean that you will finish the idea. You need a lot of talent around you, Charles, to start a business and to make it work. So what do I mean? If you're a manager, you need a technician, you need an engineer, you need a financier, you need a donor if you don't have money. And it is very important to know how these things work. So when you meet new people, learn from them. So when I met the 4 Germans, I told them about my idea. And most of them didn't even know that we live in such a situation, because I was an example to them. They understood that this is really a big problem. How do we help? Don't accept help. Accept partnership. Don't, if someone tells you, I'm giving you this, bring back this. No. Say, how about you invest with me? So I told them, come, we go to Africa. Their ideas, their problems. Because right now, it is only Africa that needs a solution for everything. And the current situations available are very expensive for us. So the solutions must be African-made. They must be tailored for that person who is African. And who is the right person? Charles, what do you think? Who is the right person to make the best solution?
The African.
The African.
Because you are in the problem. You are facing the problem.
So if you do not solve the problem,
nobody helps you to solve.
Someone will come from these developed countries and solve the problem for you. And he will take away the profits.
What is due you will be taken away from you.
I do not take out the profits. The most important is I hire African. Not because I do not like other people, but because I think the Africans need more of this. So, going back to our point, after you have started, you have the idea, you've shared it with people, you've made friends. The next steps are very important. Learn how to communicate your idea. Because communication will be very important when you are pitching your idea to the audience. Especially if you're from the African soil, where resources are really limited. You will need people to support you. And when people support you, learn to give back. Don't give back with money. Feedback. Feedback is very important. So, what did we do with the 10,000 euros grant? Right now, our prototype, which is a sustainable housing module, it will be out in 3 months. And we want to test it with the lowest income earner. Isn't it beautiful?
So beautiful.
And you see, nothing beats the pride when you're creating an impact. Yes, learn how to be happy when you're creating an impact. And sometimes you don't need to learn it, Charles. Yeah. It is natural. So what do we do right now? We are using bamboo. We are using pallets. They are called wood pallets. But we are also using mud. So this mud is sieved. We sieve the mud into the fine soil. After sieving the mud, we add it with at least 10% cement to increase the strength. And we do not start right away with the bamboo. We start with a good foundation made out of cement and some gravels and concrete.
Because without any good foundation, you cannot get any good house.
Nothing. Charles, you can't. So when you start up, and do not bring foreigners to this idea. Let the people in the village where I come from own it. So I let people in the village to do the simple works. But because these are developed people with the technical knowledge that they are learning right now, they will be the potential people to work on other projects. And right now, with the prototype, which is 50% complete, when we put it out, we have another grant where we are progressing 50,000 euros.
That is so huge.
It's a lot.
It's a lump sum.
I don't have it. But my company will.
Of course, it's a company project.
My company and the people I work with will have this money. And learn to manage resources. Managing resources means learn to understand people you are working with. They are the best resource ever. Because when you communicate to them the right plans, give them the right information, you are managing them. Charles, imagine if I win 50,000 euros and disappear. What will my team think of me?
Not trustworthy.
So we have to create. I haven't stayed so long here in Europe, but at least there are very many things Africans can teach Europeans.
Yeah, there are many things Africans can teach Europeans. I'm going for a break. I'll be right back. When I come, he tells us more about the things that Africans can teach Europeans.
Yes.
I like this part of the discussion. And don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Dear viewer, kindly like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell to receive more videos.
So we are back. We are back on the show. So what do you think Europeans can learn from Africans?
Oh, my friend Charles, a lot. Before I came here, I didn't know that there is a lot we can teach some other people beyond our soil. But I got to know that Africans have the ability to change their own future. It is not a script. It is never a script that Africa will forever be poor.
Don't you think we need a prophecy or a prophet to lead us into that dreamland?
This is not divine. This is about our abilities, our strength. I've never seen anywhere where people give so much the energy to anything. It is only found in Africa. You find that most of us, or most Africans, think they cannot create the change. We have the ability to create the change we need. And the future we want is within us. So how do you go past the 10,000 euro, the 50,000 euro? And because we are talking about a sustainable business. Scaling up. Charles, without scaling up, I mean, even in the Bible, when God created Adam and Eve, he told him, go into the world and subdue. He told him to go and multiply. So when you have an idea, don't stop at testing it. You have to market it. And you have to make it work. So what does this mean? This is not a small job by telling your friend and the other. The most important here is go back and draft a system, create a system. To be sustainable doesn't mean that you have to talk about SDGs every day. Just right now we have the COP27.
Yeah, happening in Egypt.
In my view, this is the 27th COP. But they are still telling us the temperatures are rising. All the big names gather in one room and tell you, we have to do something.
But others even believe it's a conference of tourists, not climate conference.
Yes, but in the business world, especially if it is African related, we no longer have time. We don't have time to wait that we shall do something. I think we can do something. Create a structure that makes you the owner of the idea. Actually, the idea is no longer yours. The idea belongs to the people who are benefiting from it. And Charles, where you have to scale up something is learn how to run your business beyond you. When you've created 20,000 housing units, what happens if you're no longer the managing director of that company? Teach the people you hire how things run. And also, when the business is just still growing, learn into to outsource. Outsourcing means you can run into other partnerships with other big organizations. Most of you, I will give an example. It is not one of the best examples I can give. There were companies in my country that were really small, but they merged to make good companies. And right now they are called Mokwano Group of Companies and others. Because different people come together with the same idea to make a bigger impact. And don't be afraid. Sometimes there's just one thing I didn't tell you. Because everything I've discussed, it is a one-way through. I didn't tell you about the struggles. Sometimes, Charles, when things are not working, move one step back. A step back doesn't mean that you're running away. Charles, a step back means you're getting to know where it did not work. Something doesn't have to work in a fortnight, not in 2 weeks. Some business ideas took years to make a lot of sense. You've had one of the richest people become a billionaire at around the age of 60. And I'm not saying that you should wait your idea to be at the age of 60. Of course, put some efforts. But when things fail, take a step back. Understand where it did not work. For 2 years, why are we doing our prototype now? Because we failed terribly, and now we realize our mistakes. And when you realize your mistakes, Charles, go on the table. As a person who owns the idea, own the problems, own the failures. And when you put them forward, and doesn't mean that when you go through one problem, the other won't show up. So that is the most important. And why do we make these businesses, Charles, is the most important, or it's something I may need to maybe finish with, is to make sure that you create jobs. Give these jobs to Africans. And do not make them survivors. Because, be fair. Don't give me 20,000 shillings in, I don't know how much that could be in the euro terms, around 5 euros. Per day, for 8 hours, I can't work for 20 euros. So, be fair to them. Understand the economies of scale. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense when your business is growing and the people you are working with are not growing. To take away the statistics that you started with, the 40% poor Africans, that's around 430 million people who is living just below 1.9 euros or dollar. You can be part of this solution. Help someone. But the question, Charles, I would come with is, someone out there would say, if I cannot help myself, how do I help someone else? I'm very sure, Charles, you are also asking yourself such a question.
If I can't help myself, how do I help many people out there?
Work in groups. Working in a group doesn't mean that everyone will be a business person. No. You can support an idea which is already existing. Charles, I'm very happy to know if there is any Ghanaian, if there is any Nigerian, if there is any who has these technical skills from architecture, from business modeling, from finance, and from maybe grants writing and proposal writing. I'm willing, on this show, one of them
On this show, on Final Voice channel,
can join us to take this beautiful startup that is on a very terrible rise. And in the future, maybe we are coming to Ghana
sure.
to make this kind
Ghana
of
is ready to accept you. Ghana is ready to accept African Sustainable Homes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but before we end the show, before you come up with the last submission, you were trying to give hope to the African. You were not trying to be racial, but you were trying to point to the Africans that Europeans can really learn something from Africa. And that is where viewers would like you to hit harder.
Learning from us doesn't mean that we can always follow. Africans know how to lead. And this leadership is within us. As you said, I don't mean to be racial in any way, but the value in us, the togetherness in us, it is something I haven't seen anywhere. And why don't we use these small things that unite us? You see, Africans are more together when someone dies. If you go to an African burial ceremony, you will find everyone united. Sure. If someone's death can unite us to that level, why can't my idea of building sustainable homes unite us more? Africans have the ability to believe in cultural leaders more than the presidents. I do not want to mention any cultural leaders, but I know someone who is out there knows this. You believe in your cultural leader more than the president. This power, if you believe in that cultural leader, who some of us never met, why can't you believe in an idea? So the most important thing that Europeans can learn from us is how long we have endured the hard life. I don't think they can stand it. How long we've seen this. I think if I can, I wouldn't want this to happen to my grandkids. To be poor is the biggest disease ever. But to help someone have bread for supper, and you know Joshua or Charles is sleeping because you helped him to do that, that is the most important. So what I can end with, you do not need to start a business to create jobs. You need to discuss ideas with people who are business minds. So join an idea. Go to networking centers. A few months ago, I wouldn't be in this camera to tell you about our idea. Right now, I can tell you. And as I promised, join us to African Sustainable Homes. You can follow us on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we have a website as well.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that.
And we'll be ready to give you another chance to even discuss more about African Sustainable Homes in our next episode. Viewers, Mr. Joshua made things quite simple. that the youth in Africa should first identify a problem and have African-made solutions. So first there should be a problem. Then one thing he mentioned is the idea, develop idea around this problem. Then communication was the third thing he mentioned. How do you communicate your idea to the outside world so that people can join hands with you? Then I remember you saying that you should learn how to scale up their business, prototype or ideas. And scaling up means you have to learn how to market your idea, and your business, you know how to run your business or idea. Then learn how to outsource. There is a saying that 2 good heads are better than one. Not 2 bad heads, 2 good heads are better than one. So learn how to outsource. Reach out to people. Tell them your idea. Call for partnership. Because some loads are not meant for one person to carry. Probably you need the support of others to help you. So outsource. Then you are just a businessman, or you have the business idea, you are in business. Things can go bad. And when things get tougher, try to move a step back. When there is failure, don't think it is all over because you failed or there's a failure. Like there's some kind of a problem. So you think you can't move on anymore. No. Try to move a step back and redesign your idea or approach. And you become an entrepreneur with your own business in Africa. This is where we draw curtains on today's show on this topic, creating Afro-Entrepreneurial value in Africa. Mr. Joshua, thank you so much for coming to the studios of Final Voice. Like I earlier mentioned, we will be ready, more than ready to welcome you for another episode.
Thank you so much.
On this channel.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish someone learned something from this.
Sure, the viewers, over thousands of people.
And we're also ready for partnerships.
We are ready for partnership with African Sustainable Homes.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the show.